I moved to Des Moines because I needed to disappear for a while. Chicago had wrung me dry, bad breakup, a landlord who stopped answering my calls, and roommates who thought my food was theirs until I called them out. That went sideways fast. So I left. Packed 2 suitcases, left my half of the deposit behind, and took the first job I could get. Applebee's night shifts on Grandview Avenue. My sister Kate helped me find a cheap apartment a couple blocks away. 3rd floor walk-up, no elevator, windows that didn't quite lock right. But the rent was low and no one knew me here. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. Most nights I walked home at 1:30 in the morning, shoes aching, tips stuffed into the bottom of my coat pocket. Sometimes I'd see other night shifters heading home too. Mostly I just passed quiet streets, shut-up gas stations, and the occasional drunk guy yelling at no one. Then one night, just as I was getting into bed, I heard a knock. Not a loud one, just 2 soft taps, like someone was checking to see if I was home. I waited, didn't move. Figured maybe it was a neighbor locked out or drunk. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. Nobody in the hallway. Weird, but not terrifying. I went back to bed. The next night, same time. 2 knocks. Quieter this time. Still no one outside. By the 3rd night, I was wide awake by 2:30, just waiting. And like clockwork, tap tap, no footsteps, no voices, just those 2 little knocks and then silence. On the 4th night, I sat in the dark near the door, heart thudding, holding my phone in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. I felt stupid, like I was being dramatic. But then I heard it. Breathing. Heavy. Right up against the door. Slow, steady breathing through the mail slot at the bottom. I didn't move. Didn't say anything. Just sat there while some stranger, some guy, breathed into my apartment like it belonged to him. When the sound finally stopped, I didn't go to bed. I just waited for the sun to come up. I called Kate that morning. Her first words, "Pack a bag. You're not staying there another night." I didn't tell anyone at work what was happening. What could I say? Some guy's been knocking on my door and breathing at me through the mail slot. I could already hear the jokes, so I stayed quiet. Wore my tired face like armor. About halfway through my shift that night, I noticed him. Middle-aged, probably late 40s. Dark jacket, clean-shaven except for a bit of gray in his beard. Sat alone at one of the booths near the back. Didn't look at a menu, just waited for me. "Can I get you started with something?" I asked, trying to keep it light. He looked up, right into my eyes, like he was checking to make sure I matched a picture. Then he said, "Just coffee." Black. Didn't smile. Didn't blink much. I felt my stomach twist, but maybe I was just on edge. Maybe I was imagining things. I brought the coffee. He didn't touch it. Just sat there. 15 minutes later, he left a 5 and a couple 1s, then walked out without saying a word. I went to clear the table, and that's when I saw it. He'd written something on the back of the receipt. "I like your red curtains." That's it. No name, no signature. And here's the thing, I do have red curtains, but they're in my bedroom, and I live on the 3rd floor. There's no way he should have seen them unless he was close. Real close. I stood there staring at the note until Marcus, our bartender, passed behind me. "You good?" he asked. I didn't answer. When my shift ended, I didn't walk home. I called Kate from the employee bathroom. She picked me up 10 minutes later and drove straight to her place. I didn't go back for my stuff that night, or the next. Kate didn't ask too many questions, which was good. She could tell I was on edge. She just made space for me and kept Rudy, her giant mutt, close. That dog didn't let me go anywhere alone, not even to the bathroom. I quit Applebee's by text 2 days later. Told the manager I had a family emergency. She said she understood. It took a couple of weeks before I started feeling halfway normal again. I stopped checking the locks 3 times a night. Even started sleeping a bit. Then Darren came to town. He and I had gone to college together in Chicago. He'd always been solid. Kind of a goof, but good-hearted. He texted and asked if I wanted to grab dinner, and after hesitating, I said yes. We met at a different Applebee's across town. I wore a hoodie and tied my hair up. Just wanted to blend in. Dinner was good. We joked a little, caught up. It felt nice to just be me again, until we walked out to the parking lot. Darren stopped walking. "Hey, is that guy staring at you?" I turned to look. Across the lot, near a beat-up beige pickup truck, stood the man from before. Same face, same beard, just watching. He didn't move when we saw him. Didn't flinch when Darren squared his shoulders. "You know him?" Darren asked. I nodded, barely. "You want me to go over there?" I shook my head. My chest was tight. Let's just go. We got in Darren's car and left. But the whole drive home I kept checking the mirror, because I was sure we were being followed. The drive back to Kate's wasn't long, but it felt like forever. Every time we changed lanes, a car behind us did too. At first I thought I was being paranoid, but then it happened again. And again. At one point, 3 different cars had followed us across 2 exits. Darren noticed too. He offered to drive around some more, but I asked him to take me to the hospital parking garage downtown. It's big, confusing, hard to follow someone through it without being seen. We pulled behind an ambulance bay and waited in silence for 15 minutes. Eventually the cars disappeared, or maybe they gave up. When I got back to Kate's, it was after midnight. I didn't say much, just gave her a look and she nodded. I fell asleep on the couch, Rudy curled at my feet. Then at 3:03 a.m., I woke up to a sound. 2 soft knocks. This time, not on the front door, on the back window. We called the cops. They showed up 30 minutes later, tired and a little too casual. Asked a bunch of questions that didn't really go anywhere. "You see anyone?" "No." "Any footprints?" "No, it's dry." "Any damage?" "No." "Well, not much we can do then, but we'll make a note." A note. That's what they called it. A year's passed. I live in a small apartment now. Ground floor, security cameras, deadbolt on everything. No more night shifts. I work mornings at a cafe, smile at strangers but don't give out my name, not even to customers who are just being friendly. I don't post online. My old profiles are gone. No more tagged photos, no more status updates. I don't want anyone to know where I am unless I tell them directly. Sometimes I still think I hear knocks at night. Just 2. Sometimes I wake up out of breath, heart racing, certain someone's outside my window. And maybe they are. Or maybe they were once, and now that fear's just settled into my bones. Either way, I don't ignore it anymore. Because the scariest part wasn't the man. It was that he never had to break in, never had to touch me. He just stood close enough to remind me that he could. If something feels wrong, believe yourself, even when no one else does. Trust isn't just about other people. It's about your own instinct. Some threats don't come with shouting or bruises or weapons. Sometimes they come softly, like a knock, and that's enough. You think once it's over, it's over. That once you walk away, slam the door, block the number, change the locks, that the fear will loosen, that it won't follow you home anymore. But I learned the hard way that just because someone's out of your life doesn't mean they're out of your reach. My name's Samantha Greer, but everyone calls me Sam. I'm 26. 4 months ago, I left a man who made me question the shape of my own mind. His name was Cameron, and if you met him, you'd probably like him. He was easy like that. Wore sawdust on his jeans and quoted Vonnegut like it meant something. People at parties thought he was charming. I did too at first. What they didn't see were the nights he turned quiet and cold because I didn't text back fast enough. Or the fights that started over nothing. My tone, my clothes, my smile at a stranger. They didn't hear him pacing in the hallway, breathing like he was holding back something dangerous. They didn't hear the click of the bathroom lock when he trapped me inside after accusing me of cheating because I didn't answer the door fast enough. That was the night I left. I packed 3 bags, took the tip money I'd stashed in an old shoebox, and moved across Garland to a studio above a laundromat. It wasn't much, but it had locks that were mine and no one yelling in the next room. I started working nights at the Applebees off Beltline Road. Not glamorous, but I liked the rhythm, the kitchen noise, the busyness. It kept my hands moving and my head quiet. By the end of September, I started to breathe again. Started laughing at dumb customer stories, letting people call me Sam again like it didn't hurt. I told myself he was done with me. I believed that until the Friday it rained. Late night, we got a DoorDash order minutes before closing. Just fries and a brownie bite. Nothing weird. But I glanced at the receipt, and my stomach dropped. The customer name? Cam B. And scrawled in messy pen at the bottom, "You still look good in black." That night, I was wearing my black hoodie, the one I used to wear around the apartment, the one I hadn't posted a single picture in. That was the moment I knew he'd found me. I didn't tell anyone right away, not even Marcus, my manager. What could I say? "Hey, I think my psycho ex is stalking me again. Can I leave early?" Felt like I'd be dismissed or pitied, or worse, not believed. So I smiled, cleaned the bar area, and kept moving. But I could feel the tension crawling up my spine like cold water. That sick kind of awareness that you're being watched, even when you can't see it. Marcus offered to walk me out. I said no. I don't know why. Maybe pride. Maybe denial. Maybe I just wanted to pretend I still had control over something. It was still raining when I left. That thin Texas drizzle that never quite stops. My car was in the back lot, tucked near the dumpster like always. As I walked, I caught sight of headlights behind me. Gray Honda Accord. I noticed because it wasn't parked. It was just idling. I kept walking, but my eyes stayed locked in the side view mirror. The car turned out behind me. I turned right. So did he. Left onto my street. He followed. Down the alley behind my building, a shortcut no one uses unless they live there. I pulled into my spot and slammed the door. I turned around. The car was gone. Just gone. No taillights, no engine sound, nothing. I stood there a second too long before sprinting up the stairs and locking myself in. I didn't sleep. I sat on my kitchen floor with my back against the fridge, phone in one hand, the pepper spray my cousin sent me in the other. That Sunday, someone sent flowers to the front counter at work, big white lilies and a note. "We should talk. You owe me that." See, that phrase, "You owe me that," was what he used to say after every fight, when he wanted to make me feel like the villain. I thought I was done playing that role. Apparently, he didn't. I finally filed a report. The cop was polite but distracted. Young guy, maybe mid-20s. He took notes, asked if I had evidence. I gave him the receipt, the flower note. He nodded, handed me a pamphlet and said, "If anything escalates, call us again." Escalates. I wanted to scream. How much more did it need to escalate? I changed my locks that night, added a chain bolt, bought a door camera on credit. I even started parking farther from the dumpster, but I couldn't stop working nights. I needed the money. That Friday, I was on trash duty. It was nearly midnight and we'd just closed. The back door has a loud push bar and clank, so when I opened it, the noise filled the alley. I stepped out with the bin and immediately stopped. There was someone crouched behind the dumpster, just squatting there, like an animal. He wasn't doing anything, just watching. I couldn't see his face, just the shape of him still and waiting. I screamed. He bolted. Marcus and two line cooks came running. I was shaking, pointing, barely forming words. We checked the cameras the next day. The guy had been back there for 37 minutes before I came out, just waiting. Police reviewed the footage, nodded like they saw this every day. But no license plate, no clear face, no arrest. No direct threat, they said. No contact. But he was there, waiting for me, like he always would be. I left town after that, packed a duffel bag, and went to Fort Worth to stay with my cousin Kara. She didn't ask many questions. She didn't need to. She just gave me space and made tea at night and left the porch light on. Being there helped. I stopped checking over my shoulder every time a car slowed down. Stopped flinching when my phone buzzed. After 2 weeks, I came back. Stronger. Smarter. I had a stun gun now. I wore it in my apron. I knew every car in the Applebees lot. Every regular's face. I didn't take shortcuts. Didn't work alone in the back. Then one Thursday, a man came in around 10:45. Sat at the bar, mid-30s. Wore a jacket even though it was hot. Ordered fries. Didn't look at the menu. When I walked past, he looked up and smiled. Not a creepy smile. Just calm. Too calm, like he already knew me. My legs locked up. It wasn't Cameron. Not exactly. The face was different. But the look, that still, patient, unblinking stare, was the same. I told Marcus I had a stomach ache. He let me clock out early. I didn't cry in the car. I just sat in silence, engine running, hands on the wheel, waiting for the panic to go back into its cage. Now I live 3 counties away. New job at a diner that closes at 9. No social media. New phone number. New apartment with no forwarding address. No one knows where I am unless I want them to. Some days I feel normal. Other days I walk through the grocery store and feel someone's eyes follow me. And I have to remind myself, it's probably not him, but it could be. The worst part isn't that I'm scared of Cameron. The worst part is that I can't trust my own peace. It always feels temporary, like a silence before something breaks. He may never come back. Or maybe he's already here, in a parking lot, behind a gas pump, across from me on the bus, watching. Some people don't want closure. They want control. And when you take that control back, they don't just vanish. So protect your space. Don't wait for proof that your fear is real. If it feels wrong, that's reason enough. Your safety isn't owed. It's yours. Always. I never liked working Sundays. There was something off about that stretch between midnight and close. Fewer guests, fewer lights outside, just a kind of silence that didn't feel peaceful, more like waiting. I'd only been working night shifts at the Maplewood Applebees for about a month. Just long enough to know which regulars would tip and which ones came in just to sit and sip soda for an hour. I kept to myself mostly. I was 20, living with my mom again since she got sick. Pancreatic cancer, stage 3. That kind of news messes with your priorities real fast. Film school got put on hold. I picked up the job to help cover bills and distract myself from the stuff I couldn't fix. That Sunday night felt normal enough. 2 football guys closed out at midnight. One older couple tipped me in quarters. The kitchen started shutting down by 1:15. My manager Carla was running inventory in the back, and I was left at the host stand with a wet rag and a lukewarm cup of coffee. It was 1:42 a.m. when the door opened. Technically, we locked them at 1:45. But this guy didn't walk in like someone catching last call. He pushed through the vestibule slowly, dragging one foot slightly like it was too heavy. Long coat, unshaven, eyes sunk into his face like he hadn't blinked in hours. He looked hollow. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "Kitchen's closed, but I can get you water or coffee if you want." He didn't answer, just stared at me. Then real soft, like he was warning me, not asking for help, he mumbled, "Something's coming." I blinked. "Sorry?" He nodded slowly, head jerking like it hurt. "It doesn't like doors." That's all he said. I poured him a glass of water anyway and set it down at the bar. He didn't touch it, just sat on the second stool from the end, the one no one ever picked, and started whispering to himself, hands shaking under the counter. I figured he was high, or sick, or both. But I kept catching him glancing over at the walk-in cooler like something inside was watching him back. The walk-in cooler made a low clicking noise, just the compressor kicking in like always. But when it happened, the guy flinched so hard he nearly knocked the water glass off the bar. His whole body went rigid. Then he mumbled something under his breath. "Keep them locked. Keep them locked." I texted Carla in the back. Me. Guy out front's weird AF, keeps saying stuff like, "Don't open doors." Carla, be right there. Grab the safe bag first. I stepped into the back for maybe a minute. When I came back, he was staring straight at the front door, lips barely moving. He whispered to himself like a broken record. Eyes in the ice machine, they watch when it's cold. "Sir," I said, keeping my voice level. "You okay?" He didn't respond. Just rubbed his hands like he was trying to get something off them. His nails were cracked. One finger wrapped in a napkin like he'd been bleeding earlier. Carla came out a few minutes later, saw him, and gave me the look. The one managers give when they're trying to figure out whether to ask someone to leave or call security. She walked behind the bar. "Sir, we're closing now." He looked at her, finally. His eyes weren't threatening, just empty. Like all the panic was internal and pressing out from inside his skull. "Don't open the back door," he whispered. "Okay," she said slowly. "But we do need you to head out for the night." He stood, didn't speak again. Just turned and walked to the door, dragging that foot behind him. He didn't push it open right away, just stood with one hand on the glass. Then he left. No incident, no yelling. Just gone. It was 2:08 when I started closing the register. I looked over at the bar. The water glass was still full. Stool still turned slightly from where he'd sat. Carla was already back in the kitchen by then, counting inventory and grumbling about the fryer being cleaned wrong. I was sweeping under the bar when I realized something. I never heard the door shut behind him. I walked over, checked the vestibule. Nothing. No one outside. I looked out at the parking lot. Empty. No cars. No movement. Just the soft orange hue of the overhead street lamps. Humid air. Stillness. I pulled up the security feed. 2:06 a.m. There he was, sitting at the bar. 2:07. He stood. 2:08. Nothing. No footage of him walking out. Not even a shadow. Just gone. I called Carla over. She watched the playback twice, then again. "That's not possible," she muttered. We checked the back door. Locked. No alarm triggered. I half laughed. Maybe the cameras glitched, but the feeling in my gut wasn't amused. The next morning, I was sitting on the curb outside Applebees with a Red Bull when Natalie, one of the other night servers, pulled up. I told her what happened, just as a weird story to pass the time. But as I spoke, I watched the blood drain from her face. "What?" I asked. She hesitated. "You're joking, right? Second stool from the end?" "Yeah." "Wearing a long coat?" "Yeah." "Dragging his foot?" My mouth went dry. "Yeah." Natalie didn't blink. "That happened 2 years ago. Same shift, same night. Bartender at the time told me about it. Said a guy came in mumbling stuff about doors and vanishing from the cameras. They thought he imagined it. The manager got fired for being drunk that night." "Come on." "I'm serious." Said he left a note the second time too, forked into the wall behind the dumpster. Now she had my full attention. That night I volunteered to take out the trash. Don't ask me why. Maybe I didn't want to feel scared. Maybe I wanted to prove something. The door was already cracked open when I got there, and pinned to the wall with a bent fork was a receipt, scrawled on the back in shaky handwriting. "Eyes in the ice machine." I haven't taken the trash out alone since. Some nights I even stay in my car a minute before going inside, staring at the back exit like I'm waiting for something to move. I don't talk about that night much anymore, mostly because people either laugh or nod awkwardly like they don't know what to say. But Natalie doesn't laugh. She works day shifts now, so do I. We never got a name for him. No license plate. Nothing in the system. No trace on the cameras. Just that stool, that moment, and that receipt. I think about what he said. It doesn't like doors. Was he paranoid? On something? Suffering? Or was he a warning? Some things you don't explain. You just remember. And sometimes when I walk past the cooler or dump a new bag of ice into the machine, I catch myself staring a little too long. Not because I see anything, but because I want to be sure I don't. Some fears don't come with explanations. Whether they're real, imagined, or something in between, how we respond to fear is what keeps us safe. Listen when the world whispers, even if no one else hears it. Some people find peace in routine. Me, I find numbness. And for a while, that was exactly what I needed. After everything with Kyle, the screaming matches, the paranoia, the slow grind of love turned into surveillance, I came back to Kansas City with no plan except start over. Somewhere, somehow. That somewhere turned out to be an Applebee's tucked near a strip of tire shops and a payday loan office on West 39th. The closing shift needed a hostess, and I needed the kind of job where no one cared what you were running from, just that you showed up, clocked in, and didn't steal from the tip pool. I got used to walking out late, the blacktop parking lot stretching wide under dim pole lights, always buzzing with insects. I'd lock up, toss my apron in the back seat, and drive home to a cheap studio apartment above a laundromat. It wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet, at least until that Thursday night. It had been raining all evening. Not hard, just steady and cold, making everything feel heavier. I was wiping down the host stand when I noticed him. Outside, near the dumpster, leaning against one of the poles. Tall, scruffy beard, hoodie pulled low. Just standing there, not smoking, not pacing, just watching. His face wasn't clear, but I knew he was facing us, facing me. "Hey," I said to Mike, our shift lead. "There's a guy by the dumpster." Mike barely looked up from his drawer count. Probably an Uber or something. "He's not moving, just standing there." Mike shrugged. "We're locking up in 10 anyway." I wanted to argue, but what was I gonna say? "Some guy is looking at me weird. Can you walk me to my car like it's middle school?" So I kept my mouth shut. 12:25 hit. I grabbed my coat, clocked out, and headed into the rain. My car sat third from the left. I unlocked it with the fob, head down, footsteps squishing across the wet lot. I looked up just before I reached the door. He was standing across from my car. Just there. No umbrella, no movement. Just waiting. I stopped dead, keys clenched in my fist. He was maybe 15 feet away, standing still like a street lamp. Hoodie soaked through, hands in his pockets. Eyes, the only thing not shadowed by the hood, locked on me. I took a half step back. "You need help with that?" he asked, voice low and dry. I hadn't said anything, hadn't dropped anything. There was nothing in my hands. I cleared my throat. "No thanks, I'm good." He didn't move, just stared. I kept my pace calm and fast, got in the driver's seat and locked the doors the second it shut behind me. I started the engine, eyes flicking to the mirror. He was still there. I reversed fast, tires slipping a little on the wet asphalt, then turned onto the main road. Heart hammering. No way he could follow. He wasn't in a car. Right? Then came the thud, a single, deep thunk from the rear of the car. Like something dropped hard in the trunk. I nearly drove onto the curb. What the hell was that? I floored it across the intersection and pulled into the gas station just across from the Applebees. Lights were still on. The overnight clerk was mopping inside. I parked crooked and ran in. "Someone might be in my trunk," I blurted. I heard a noise. The guy looked at me like I was unwell. "You want me to look?" I nodded. He came out with me, keys shaking in my hand as I popped the latch. The trunk opened with a creak. Empty. Just my apron, an umbrella, and an old hoodie. No signs of anyone or anything. No scratches, no boot prints. I felt like a crazy person. "Sorry," I muttered. I thought..." He nodded, polite but distant. "Rain'll mess with your ears sometimes." I gave a forced laugh, got back in my car and pulled out. Just nerves, I told myself. Just a bad week, bad breakup, too much caffeine, too little sleep. That kind of noise could have been anything, right? The rain hadn't let up. I drove slower than usual, both hands locked on the wheel. I'd just started breathing normally again when the red light at Jefferson turned yellow. I coasted to a stop and glanced in the rear view out of habit, and froze. The man was in my back seat. I didn't process it all at once, just a shape, a hood, a shadowed face. But I knew it was him. I screamed. My hands jerked the wheel instinctively. The car lurched left, tires squealing on the wet pavement, and slammed into something heavy. Metal crunched, glass popped, then black. When I came to, people were outside my window. A woman was knocking gently on the glass, another person on the phone. I blinked. My head throbbed. Airbags had deployed. The man, I gasped, in the back seat. But when I turned, it was empty. No one, not a trace. Paramedics checked me out. Mild concussion. They took me to the ER just in case. The officer who showed up at the crash was kind, concerned even. "We'll pull your dash cam," he said, just to make sure. I nodded. I wanted to believe I'd imagined it. A stress hallucination, a trick of the shadows, something. But when they reviewed the footage, they confirmed the worst part. No one was seen entering the car, but the rear passenger door, slightly ajar when they found it. They said I must have hit my head harder than I thought. No intruder. No fingerprints. Doors lock automatically in that model, so unless someone got in before you started driving, which didn't make sense either. I had locked the car. I remembered doing it. I left the hospital with a prescription for migraines and a lingering sense of unreality. The next day I quit my job. Carla, my manager, tried to talk me out of it. It was a fluke, probably a trick of the light. I didn't argue, I just nodded. I moved in with my cousin in Prairie Village a week later. Safer neighborhood, bigger complex, more lights, and I haven't driven alone at night since. I got rid of the car eventually. Every time I sat in it, I felt like I was inviting something back in. My cousin said it was trauma, that my brain needed time. Maybe. But even now, sometimes when I'm riding the bus home after a late shift at my new job, I catch sight of him again. Not close. Just standing at a distance, near a light pole, or a bench, or reflected, just for a second, in the glass. It's been 6 months. I've learned how to say no louder, how to check my locks twice, how to listen to my gut when something feels off, even if it makes me seem rude or paranoid. I still get flashbacks sometimes, especially on quiet nights. I've had therapists tell me that the brain holds on to trauma like wet clothes, that it can take years to dry out. I believe them, but I also believe what I saw, or didn't see, or felt. That presence, not just the man, but the silence he brought with him, it stays with me, in mirrors, in dark windows, in the silence between clicks of the deadbolt. I used to think horror was something in movies, things that go bump in the night, monsters with faces, but it's quieter than that. It wears a hoodie, it stands too still, it waits near the edge of light and never says why. Some nights when I turn off the lights and check my front door, I see something out on the sidewalk. Not always a person, but always watching. Trust your instincts. When your body whispers something's wrong, don't silence it with politeness or doubt. Fear doesn't always lie, and some doors once opened don't close clean. I've always liked the night shift. There's a rhythm to it, the hum of the fryer, the buzz of close-down orders, the late chatter of couples nursing half-empty drinks. It's chaos, but it's my chaos. I'm 21, half a year into culinary school, working here to pay rent and help my mom with bills since her layoff last spring. It isn't glamorous, but it pays for college and keeps food on the table. I close the kitchen line with Javier and Cass almost every Saturday. Javier's been cooking longer than I've been alive. Structured, disciplined, the kind of guy who taught me real knife skills. Cass is the no-bull waitress. Sharp tongue, big heart, always ready to laugh at my jokes, even when they're half-baked. On this night, we closed at 12:15 a.m. The final table stood, paid, and left quietly. We dimmed the lights, locked the front doors, and put on music. Cass was cleaning soda syrup off the decaf nozzle near the back exit while Javier prepped pans for mop-up. I was on floors. Then the motion sensor light outside flickered to life. "Nice late-night admirer," I joked, heading toward the corner camera monitor. I squinted. A man was pacing just outside the back door, too tall to be a stray. Javier shrugged it off. Probably just waiting for a ride. But Cass stopped cleaning and stared. The guy didn't loiter politely. He prowled. I watched him raise his head and glance sideways like he was sizing up our window view. He didn't knock. Didn't call out. Just watched. Cass whispered, tension in her voice. Something's off. I didn't know what, but everything started to feel too quiet. 10 minutes later, the lights flickered in the hallway. Then the back door rattled, like someone wiggling a doorknob. Cass nearly dropped her rag. "He's trying it." I grabbed a broomstick by reflex. Javier paused, then silently locked the walk-in freezer door behind him. The front entrance alarm chimed despite the locked doors, our next alarm being set to lock automatically. No one opened the door. No one left. Yet the alarm kept chirping. "Floor's slick," Javier muttered, but we knew he meant something else. We crouched behind prep tables. Then we heard boots, wet leather squish, on the kitchen's tiled floor. Lights flickered again, plunging us into rhythmic darkness. Music cut out. 1 second later, footsteps by the soda machine, then silence. Cass whimpered. My hands were sweating despite the chill. Then, out of the dark, a figure emerged. Tall guy, ski mask, full stop mask, no words. Long coat. In one hand, a machete. He strode like walking sun rays cut. Cass screamed, high and desperate. Javier grabbed a fryer basket, tight grip on the handle. He didn't shout, just moved forward to block. I swung the broomstick like a batter. He lunged. I saw the glint of metal in low light. I yanked at Cass and Javier, shouting, "Freezer!" We flipped the big door, steel clang drowned out our fear, and shoved inside. I slammed it shut behind us while Javier pressed the handle down. Inside was cold and silent. We squeezed against the back wall. Smoke rolled under the door, thick, chemical-smelling, burning off our breath. Cass gasped, choking. Javier held his arm around her. We listened. Footsteps, laughter. The machete hit steel. Clang, clang. Insistent. He jammed a foot in. Acid hissed inside from the smoke. Cass had tears but whispered, "What now?" I slid along the wall. Emergency extinguisher box flicked in the light. I yanked at it, nailed the latch with my heel. The silver canister dropped into my hand like it had been waiting for us. Smoke made my eyes burn. My fingers shook on the release lever. Then, we heard him breathing outside. He stepped back and the banging stopped. He started splashing something across the floor. Mopped flame sounds. Then a click. A lit bucket or liquid ignition. The freezer door vibrated under smoke pressure. I didn't wait. I slammed the freezer door open and sprinted into the hall with Javier close behind. I twisted the extinguisher handle. Great white cloud burst onto flames, choking the fire to the floor. He staggered back into the smoky hallway. I swung the extinguisher right at his shoulder. No aim, pure fear. He stumbled and crashed into a rack. Javier yelled, "Get out!" We bolted past him, Cass coughing behind us. He staggered but didn't chase. We spilled out through the back entrance. Police sirens came up fast. We spilled into the parking lot. Fire trucks pulled forward. Inside the building was chaos. Smoke-dented walls, scorched mop, grease footprints, the smell of melted rubber. We watched them lift away the hooded figure. We never saw his face. No clear image, no weapon collected. He disappeared like mist. I didn't come back the next day. Cass transferred after 2 days of therapy. Javier went back to cooking school and never returned. I quit. My hands still tremble near metal lids and fryer baskets. The Applebees moved to closing at 11 p.m. and hired 2 security guards. The night shift feels different. Shadowed now, whispered rumors and rattles. For me, I can't step near a back door without my skin crawling. My mom asked if I'm okay. I nod, but nightmares follow me. I jump at smoke alarms. I flinch when I close lockers too forcefully. I avoid late aisles in grocery stores, but I survived. We all did. Preparation buys precious seconds, but courage keeps you moving. Ordinary nights can turn violent in an instant. Trust the feelings that rise faster than logic. If you've ever worked a bar shift at a chain restaurant, you know Sundays drag. Tips are slow, guests are half asleep, and closing feels like walking uphill in molasses. That night it was just me. I was covering for Marcus, who called out sick. No big deal. I've worked Applebees long enough to know how to close solo. The last table left around 11:15 p.m. Two older ladies who split a margarita and tipped me in quarters. I didn't complain. I just wiped down the bar, stacked glasses, and started counting the till. I remember tucking my purse under the bar, same spot every shift. It's wedged in near the mini fridge, hidden enough where guests can't see. Inside was my wallet, some cash, and my ID badge for clinicals. I'm a nurse in training at Valencia College, and every dollar counts. I've got loans climbing faster than I can mop sticky floors. I closed out the register, locked the front doors, and went to grab my bag. That's when I realized my wallet was gone. I checked the locker, the break room, even behind the microwave. Nothing. I wasn't panicked at first. I thought maybe I was just tired, or clumsy. But my gut? It said otherwise. I texted Danny, who usually closed with me. "You touched my stuff last shift?" She replied, "Nah, girl, I don't even open that fridge unless I'm dying of thirst." The feeling of being watched crawled over me, but I didn't see anyone outside. I double-checked all doors. Still locked. The place was silent. I stood by the bar, staring at the fridge door, wondering if I was losing it. Then my phone buzzed. The screen lit up with a number I didn't know. I almost ignored it. Then curiosity won. "Want your wallet back? $200. Come alone. No cops." Attached was a photo. It was my ID. On the bar countertop, taken inside the restaurant. From the angle of the shot, it looked like whoever took the photo had been standing right where I was standing minutes ago. My heart dropped. This wasn't some prank. Someone had been in there. Or maybe still was. I grabbed a flashlight from the hostess stand and backed into the office, locking the door behind me. I dialed Danny and put her on speaker. What happened?" she asked, voice instantly alert. I read her the message. She swore, told me to call the cops, but I couldn't. Something in me, a mix of pride and adrenaline, told me this wasn't just about the money. I felt like I was being tested, watched. Then came the second message. Ping sent. 8-minute walk. Red van. Come alone. A GPS link loaded. An abandoned parking lot behind an old tire shop, 2 blocks east. I should have called 911. Instead, I told Danny, "Stay on the line. I'll be quick." "Vanessa, don't you dare. Wait for someone. This isn't worth it." But I was already grabbing my hoodie and heading out the side door, flashlight in one hand, pepper spray clipped to my pocket. The lot looked exactly like the kind of place you'd warn your kid never to walk into. Cracked pavement, broken lights, a rusted chain fence barely keeping out the overgrowth. I saw the red van before I got there, parked at an angle. Old, dented, half covered in pine needles. My chest thumped harder with every step. Another message pinged. Behind the red van. No punctuation, no flair, just cold, flat words. "Danny, I see the van. I'm walking," I whispered. "Vanessa, don't do this," she begged. As I rounded the back corner, I looked down the row of cars. Empty. No movement. But the van's door was open slightly, ajar just enough. And then I heard it. An engine. A second car pulled into the lot. Fast. No headlights. Tinted windows. It stopped behind me. Doors clicked open. My breath caught. I bolted. Footsteps chased me. I dropped my flashlight. My pepper spray flew out of my pocket. Panic swallowed me. Danny was screaming, but I barely heard her. A man's voice called out low, "You shouldn't run." Another figure stepped out. gloved hands, hoodie pulled tight. I caught a gleam in his hand. Something metal. I didn't wait to see what it was. The main road felt like miles away, but I ran like something primal had taken over. I cut through bushes, scraped my arm on a chain-link fence, and almost slipped in the wet grass. Just as I hit the sidewalk, headlights blinded me. A city bus. I waved both arms, shouting. The driver slowed, clearly unsure if I was a threat or not. The doors hissed open. "Please," I begged, breathless. "Please let me on." He nodded me inside. I turned back just in time to see the black car make a wide U-turn and disappear into the next block. I collapsed into the first seat, heart pounding, eyes stinging. Danny was still on the line. "You alive?" "Barely," I whispered. I think I was about to be robbed, or worse. I didn't sleep that night. Every car engine I heard outside made my skin crawl. The next morning, I arrived at Applebee's early to open. The manager beat me there and pointed to the back door. "There was something slid under it," he said, confused. It was my wallet. No cash, but every card, every receipt, even my sticky note that said "Remember to breathe," was untouched. Police took a report, said the area had been hit by a few late-night crimes. Follow the worker patterns. Someone watches, waits, and strikes once you're alone. I switched to mornings that week, changed my route home, bought a personal alarm, and stopped leaving my purse in the open. But I still think about that night, about the photo, the voice, that empty van, and how close I came to, I don't even know. Now, I check every door twice, and I don't answer texts from numbers I don't know. Ever again. Sometimes the trap isn't baited with greed, it's baited with your routine. Don't assume you're safe just because you're familiar with your surroundings. Predators watch patterns. Break yours before someone else does. I joined Applebee's for the routine. After 11 years in the military, I wanted quiet, structured, low pressure. The job fit. I closed most shifts solo, locked up past midnight, and walked through empty parking lots under distant streetlights. It was predictable and safe, or so I thought. Sand Hollow Road is lined with shuttered stores and strip malls after dark. You almost forget people live here until someone walks in with purpose. That Thursday started like any other. I cashed out the younger crew, double-checked the beer cooler, and dimmed the lights by 11:50 p.m. The silence settled in easy. Then the door buzzer buzzed. I looked up. A tall man in a long black coat stood by the door. No hurry, no greeting, just that odd stillness in his stance. "Table for one?" I asked, keys jangling in my hand. He nodded, sliding into table 9 by the window. I walked away, steroid cleaning near the bar, ignoring the sense of being watched. He didn't order food, just water. No cold brew, no menu, just a slow sip here and there. I cleared nearby tables, counted empties, kept glancing at him. He stared out at the lot, face impassive, black eyes so deep they swallowed the whites. We locked by midnight. So why was he still here at 12:15? "Sir," I said, wiping my hands on a towel. "We close in 10 minutes. He didn't look at me. Voice quiet, he said, "I just need a seat. Been walking a long time." A lie or the truth? I couldn't tell. I thought about asking for ID, about telling him we really were closing, but something in his tone kept me from snapping. "Okay," I said, "but that's it." He turned slowly. "You know this place runs in loops, right?" "Huh? Excuse me?" The only movement he made was adjusting the glass. "The place resets when you leave. You notice, but you still step back in." I laughed. "You sound like someone who reads too much philosophy." His reply was a nod. He sat in silence after that. I forced myself to focus on cleaning, but my eyes kept drifting. Then something clicked. His voice. It rang a bell. 3 nights ago. Midnight. That voice. But I black out it close. I only remember the alarm, not faces. Only lights swirling out. My head hurt. Could I be imagining this? I poured another pitcher in the kitchen just to distract myself. I returned to the dining room, heart pounding. Table 9 was empty, the water glass gone. No coat, no man, nothing. I locked eyes on the window by the door. First thought he walked out. Then, he was there, facing the window, frozen. Couldn't tell if it was him, or a reflection stretched by glass. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. It resets when you notice it. My stomach sank. I dropped the phone, heavy in my hand, and stared at the booth. We locked doors. It's 12:30. This isn't normal. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my skin. My reflection stared back at me from the glass. Same uniform, same tired face, except I wasn't behind the counter. I was in the parking lot. My breath froze. Am I seeing things? The lights above flickered. I stepped back, bumping a table. The floor felt wrong, unstable, like wet cement. I swallowed hard. The man was back at table 9, coat on, head forward, water gone. A small smirk. "You'll forget again," he said softly. "But I'll still be here." My legs trembled. I backed into the hallway, hands pressed to the cool tiles. I splashed water on my face in the bathroom, gasping for sanity. When I looked up, mirror empty. No water, no face, just a silent fluorescent hum. I backed into the dining room again. He was there, sipping water, unmoved, unhurried. I pulled my phone out, tried to find the unknown number. Nothing. No missed call, no trace. I felt tears sting my eyes. Confusion worse than fear. My mind was slipping. He spoke again. "Look at the clock." 12:32 a.m. "I'll be here when you clock out every night. You'll remember, then forget, and you'll come back." I closed early that night. I printed my badge slip, left keys and badge on the counter, and walked out at 12:45 with heart pounding. I didn't look back at table 9, didn't stop at the front desk. I haven't gone back since. I drive by every Thursday still. The lights are on at 12:30 now. Staff finishes by then. I watch the empty lot, the strip mall. Pawn shop shutter angled in the neon glow. Sometimes I see me, standing at the door, waiting. I still check every reflection, windows, TVs, even spoons, around midnight. I refuse assignments that put me on late shifts. Sometimes nights feel broken, as though Midwestern time ceased here. But the real lesson isn't about ghosts. It's about control. Sometimes we're haunted by ourselves, the doubts we bury, the routines we follow. Don't ignore the voices that echo after the lights go out. Awareness is more than seeing. It's remembering who you are every time you walk in and every time you walk out. People say Omaha's quiet. Safe, they call it. The kind of place where you leave your car unlocked and know your neighbors by name. And sure, compared to the mess I left behind at school, the parties, the noise, the chaos, this place felt calm. But quiet doesn't mean safe. Sometimes quiet means no one's watching when something goes wrong. I moved back home at 23, dropped out 2 states away, broke, tired, and not ready to explain to anyone what I'd really gone through. I told my parents I just needed a fresh start, and they believed me. To pay rent on the basement apartment I found near Grover Street, I picked up night shifts at the local Applebees. Not my dream job, but it got me through. I worked mostly closings, cleaning, inventory, locking up past midnight. And yeah, I walked to the back employee lot alone most nights, but it was only a short walk. Omaha didn't scare me, at least not yet. I remember the night it started because it was stupidly normal, nothing dramatic. The bar cleared out early. I stayed late helping Darnell count liquor bottles because he hates doing it alone. We laughed about a guy who ordered 5 orders of boneless wings and tipped $4. Regular night. It was 12:10 when I finally clocked out. The hallway behind the kitchen opened into a dim alleyway. Always smelled like grease and dumpster runoff. I remember thinking I should have just parked on the street instead of in the back. That's when I saw it. A black sedan, parked 2 spots from mine. No lights, no engine, just sitting. I paused, Maybe someone was waiting. Maybe it was just a rideshare. I mean, it's a restaurant. People get picked up all the time. But as I walked to my car and unlocked it, the black sedan flashed its headlights once. Then again. Not long. Not dramatic. But just enough to say, "I see you." I got in quick, locked the doors, started the engine and pulled out. The car didn't move. Not until I turned the corner. And then, there it was. In my rear view. I didn't panic. Not yet. I told myself, maybe they just live that way. Maybe it's nothing. Don't spiral, Rachel. But when I turned off onto 120th, not a main road, not the direct way to anywhere, the headlights behind me followed. Same speed, same distance, no pressure. I tried the roundabout, took the long way through a residential loop full of cul-de-sacs and speed bumps. The car stuck with me. Never got close, never backed off, just floated behind like a shadow that knew exactly how far to stay without setting off alarm bells. I pulled into a gas station 2 blocks from my apartment. It was well lit with cameras in a car wash bay. Felt safer than my dark parking garage. I parked near the front, under the big canopy lights, engine still running. That car pulled in too, not next to me, across the lot, shadowed corner, far enough to pretend like it wasn't weird, but close enough I could see the shape of a man in the driver's seat. He didn't get out, just sat there, lights on, engine humming. I called my brother, no answer. He worked late shifts sometimes, so I figured I'd try again. My phone buzzed right after, unknown number. Didn't answer, just stared at the message preview. "You left your lights on. Want me to turn them off for you?" My stomach turned to stone. I looked up, my headlights were still on, which meant whoever messaged me could see me, right now. I drove straight home, no stops, no turns. I didn't even look in the mirror, not because I wasn't scared, but because I was terrified of what I might see following me again. My apartment had a garage underneath, low ceiling, barely 3 stalls wide. When I pulled in, I held the door clicker so tight my thumb went numb. The gate rattled closed behind me with a slow, chugging sound like it didn't really want to help. I ran upstairs. 2 locks. Chain. I double-checked both. Then I paced. My heart felt too fast for my chest. I called my brother again. No answer. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type out a message. 10 minutes later, knock at the door. I froze. Not hard. Just a soft tap-tap, like someone was trying not to wake the neighbors. I didn't move. Held my breath. Waited. Eventually, whoever it was left. When the cops arrived, yes, I called them, the car was gone, no trace in the alley. But they did find something, a crumpled receipt tucked under my windshield wiper. It was from Applebees, from that night. On the back, scribbled in pen, "I liked your earrings." That night I'd worn my little moon-shaped hoops, small, subtle, barely peeked out from under my hair. No customers had mentioned them, which meant one thing. Whoever left that note worked there. I didn't sleep that night. I laid on my couch with the TV volume low and every light in the apartment on. When morning came, I called in, told Marcus I couldn't come to work. He asked why, and I told him the truth.